After my husband's passing, I discovered 48M. My son's demand revealed an unexpected truth. The morning sun poured golden light into Sarah's small bakery, warming the scent of fresh bread that wafted through the air. It felt like any other day, but the truth was wrapped in shadows tighter than any dough she could knead. Just a few weeks had passed since Tom, her husband, a cherished military sergeant, had left this world unexpectedly. The community had rallied around her, but no one could see the storm brewing inside. Then came the day she uncovered the secret. It started innocently enough, a dusty folder tucked beneath an old ledger in the back office. With trembling hands she opened it, revealing a bank statement from an offshore account, a staggering 48 million crammed into columns filled with numbers that danced like lies. Her heart raced. This was no ordinary account. It was tied to a business venture Tom had never mentioned. What on earth had he done? "Mom, you okay?" Jake's voice, full of concern, broke through her fog. He stood at the doorway, his youthful face twisted with the kind of longing only a son could wear for his father. "You look different." Sarah forcefully plastered a smile on her face. "Just a little tired, sweetheart." But in her gut, she knew that this discovery was going to rock their world far more than any war zone ever could. As days passed, the buried treasure weighed heavy on her conscience, pulling at the threads of her family's past. Jake, sporting his father's same fierce determination, confronted her one evening. "Why did Dad hide this from us? What was he involved in?" The urgency in his questions mirrored the reckless thrill that twisted in her chest. The beauty of their suburban life, the community barbecues, 4th of July parades, children riding bikes, began to feel like a facade, easily cracked by this revelation. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Every night brought fresh nightmares that left her awake, her mind racing with thoughts of Tom. Had he been involved in something corrupt? As whispers of his dubious dealings dripped through the grapevine, she felt trapped, a pressure cooker on the verge of explosion. What if it wasn't about leaving a legacy, but of achieving something darker? What did that money mean? As Sarah stood at the crossroads of wealth and righteousness, an unexpected visitor knocked at her door one rainy evening. She opened it to find a figure cloaked in shadow, holding an envelope marked with a familiar insignia. Her heart stopped. Jake stood behind her, his eager eyes fixed on her face, seeking answers. What truth lay on the other side of that envelope? Would it reveal the man she thought she knew, or shatter everything they had built together? As she reached for the doorknob, an unshakable doubt filled the air. Could understanding Tom's past tear their family apart? Or would it bind them in ways she never anticipated? As Sarah's fingers brushed the cool surface of the doorknob, the raindrops fell lightly against the porch, their rhythm punctuating the heavy silence that enveloped her. With a deep breath, she swung the door open wider, revealing a man she had never seen before. His lined face was partially hidden beneath a black hat, and the way he held the envelope suggested urgency. "I'm here for you, Sarah," he said, his voice deep and steady. She hesitated, barely able to comprehend his words. "It's about Tom." Jake shifted nervously behind her, trying to catch a glimpse of the stranger's intent. "Who are you?" Sarah managed to ask, dread creeping into her gut. "My name is Davis," he replied, stepping into the light, barely cutting through the persistent rain. "I served with your husband." A chill ran down her spine. Could this man bring more pain? More questions she didn't know if she could bear? "Please," he continued, handing her the envelope. "You need to see what's inside. You deserve the truth." With trembling hands, she took the envelope and ripped it open. A single sheet of paper slipped out, its contents swimming in a blur. She glanced at Jake, whose wide eyes mirrored her own anxiety. "What is it, Mom?" he urged. "Just a minute," she whispered, unfolding the letter with care. The words seemed to jump off the page, igniting a firestorm of emotions. Her heart thudded violently as she read. Tom was involved in a covert operation. "Covert operation?" Jake echoed incredulously. "Not just that," she continued, her voice barely above a whisper. He spoke of a betrayal and money. The words felt foreign, spinning tales of danger and deception. Sarah cringed, her stomach twisting. What had Tom really been involved in? Was this why he hid the money? Davis stepped closer, concern etching his features. You need to understand. The money, it's tied to something he was trying to protect you from. People are looking for it. And for you. They're looking for us? Jake exclaimed, panic rising in his voice. Not just you, Davis said gravely. For the money, but for other reasons too. Trust me. It's much larger than you could imagine. Tom knew something that could put you both in danger. Sarah felt the weight of his words crash over her, like a tidal wave. The life they had known, the small bakery, the friendly neighbors, was just an illusion birthed from her husband's careful hand. Her world was shifting beneath her like sand in the hourglass. What had he discovered? Davis leaned closer, his voice lowering. Your husband was onto something big. This wasn't just a venture. There are names involved, people with power, willing to do whatever it takes to keep their secrets buried. You need to go. Go? Go where? Panic erupted within her, visions of fleeing racing through her mind, but she couldn't even fathom leaving her home. Far from here until it's safe, he urged. The storm outside intensified, echoing the turmoil inside. I can't just leave, her voice broke, filled with terror. Jake stepped forward, placing a protective hand on her shoulder, grounding her. What are we going to do, Mom? He asked, determination pushing through his fear. First, we need to read the rest of the letter, Sarah whispered, steeling herself. There were layers to Tom's life she had never known. Secrets that could shatter everything they held dear. As she continued reading, a name jumped out, one that would change her understanding of her husband forever. Anthony Johnson, she murmured, the name chilling her to the bone. Who was he? And why did it feel like the edge of a cliff was just beneath her feet, waiting to swallow them whole? In that moment, with rain pounding on the roof and uncertainty swirling like an ominous fog, Sarah realized the hardest revelation was yet to come. The past was clawing back, determined to uncover the truth. She had to act. But would she have the courage to confront the dangers ahead? And as she pored over the letter, one question loomed large: how far would she go to protect Jake from the shadows of Tom's legacy? The letter trembled in Sarah's hands as her mind raced. Anthony Johnson, what kind of person would Tom have gotten involved with? She whispered, trying to piece together the fragments of her husband she thought she knew. Mom? Jake's voice pulled her back to reality. Who is he? Should we be worried? His question was a plea, laced with both fear and desperation. He was too young to bear the weight of this storm. Just give me a moment, she managed, squinting at the paper. And there it was, the unmistakable scrawl of Tom's handwriting. The message carried a tone of urgency that her heart raced to match. It says here that Johnson has connections, dangerous ones. What do you mean? Like mafia? Jake's eyes widened with panic. No, sweetheart, not the mafia, Sarah said hastily, trying to keep her voice calm despite the way her breath quickened. More like corruption in high places. The words felt heavy, like stones settled deep in her gut. Davis remained silent, watching the two with an air of growing concern. You need to trust me, he finally said, striking through the moment's tension. If Tom mentioned Johnson, he was likely onto something larger than you know, something that concerns powerful people who will stop at nothing to keep their secrets. What should we do? Jake asked, his voice strained. His youthful innocence clashed violently with the gravity of their situation. First, we need to leave. Now. Davis tapped his watch, urgency edging his tone. I can help you with that, but it has to be immediate. They could arrive any minute. Sarah swallowed hard. The life she built around herself and Jake, the small bakery with its flour-dusted counters, was suddenly a fragile illusion beneath her feet. But I can't just run. What if we're walking right into a trap? Staying here is the real trap. Davis stepped closer, the rain battering soundlessly against the walls, swallowing all semblances of outside normalcy. Tom protected you by hiding this. He feared for your safety. But now all that knowledge is a target. Her chest tightened at the thought of losing everything: her home, her son's laughter, memories woven into every corner, every picture frame. Yet lingering dread clawed at her, each shadow outside the window amplifying her fears. Jake, she said softly, we may have to leave everything behind. What if I don't want to? he replied, his voice breaking. What if we just call the cops? Davis shook his head. You think they'll help? People are involved here who have the power to make cops disappear to make you disappear. The gravity of his words settled over her like a dark cloak. Okay, fine, she relented, feeling the knot in her stomach twist tighter. But I need to find out who Anthony Johnson really is before I make any decisions. Do you realize how dangerous that is? Davis snapped, his voice lowering to a near growl. You don't understand the kinds of people you're dealing with. No, maybe I don't. But I have to know what we're running from, she insisted, her resolve hardening. What if he's tied to something we can fight? Fight? This isn't a movie, Sarah. You can't fight people like this enough. She shot back, feeling a spark of anger, a surge of adrenaline coursing through her veins. I'm not just going to blindly run away without knowing the full story. I need to know what Tom got us into. Davis's expression softened, a flicker of understanding crossing his face. You're incredibly brave, but bravery can lead you straight into a lioness den. You need allies, not enemies. Allies? You mean like you? She retorted, eyeing him skeptically. Yes, like me, he replied without hesitation, with her heart still racing and fear clawing at the edges of her mind. Sarah turned back to the letter and searched for anything that could be of help. A sharp gasp escaped her lips as she spotted something inside the corner of the paper. A barely visible phone number. Look, she exclaimed, pointing. What if we call this? As she fished her phone from her pocket, the room felt charged, electric with anticipation and dread. Sarah, don't, Davis began, his voice tight. But it was too late. The screen lit up, and as the rain thundered outside, she pressed the dial button, unaware of the darkness that awaited on the other end of the line. And before she could think twice, the call rang through, setting them on a path that would change everything. What would she find when the voice answered on the other side? The phone rang for a painfully long moment, each chime echoing in the silence of the room, the rain tapping anxiously against the windows. Sarah could feel her heart pounding in her chest, each beat a countdown to what lay on the other end. She glanced over at Jake, his small form barely holding together bits of courage. They exchanged uncertain glances, as if each was searching for reassurance. Then abruptly the ringing stopped. A deep voice answered. Hello. Her stomach dropped, a feeling of dread rushing over her. I'm looking for Anthony Johnson, she managed to say, her voice almost a whisper. There was a pause, thick with tension. Who is this? See, could you please tell me who you are? I found your number. Panic clawed at her throat. What had she just stepped into? Why are you looking for Anthony? The voice shifted, an edge sharpening in tone. Suddenly the room felt smaller, as if the walls were closing in. Because my husband mentioned him, she stuttered, desperately trying to hold on to a thread of confidence. I need to understand. Another pause, then a low chuckle laced with menace broke through the line. Your husband, huh? Tom was always getting in over his head. Pressure built in her temples. What do you know about Tom? He knew too much. The voice's tone shifted, the playful threat replaced with something colder. And if you're looking for answers, I suggest you be very careful. Curious people tend to meet unfortunate ends. Fear surged through her, the weight of that warning landing like a ton of bricks. Davis was right, this wasn't just a game. Listen, just tell me what I need to know. There was a rawness in her voice, a plea hidden under layers of fear. I can't help you unless you're willing to cooperate. Meet me where? She interrupted. Tomorrow night at the old lighthouse dock. Don't bring anyone. Come alone. That terse conclusion rang in her ear, the line going dead, leaving her gasping for breath. Mom? Jake's eyes widened, following her sudden stillness. What happened? What did he say? She swallowed hard, trying to gather her thoughts. He wants to meet. Davis stepped closer, his expression unrelenting. What did he say? Was he threatening you? Yes, but he might know more about Tom. Did you hear everything he said? This could be a trap, he warned, shaking his head. You can't just go. I have to know why Tom mentioned him. What if it's important? What if he left something behind that we need to fight this? Determination filled her voice, even as the doubt gnawed at her insides. Davis sighed, rubbing his temples. You think you can outsmart them? You're walking into a pit of vipers. Well, if I stay here just out of fear, I'm letting them win. That might not be true. Davis absorbed her words, his eyes narrowing as if weighing the balance of danger and resolve. But if you insist on going, you need a plan. We need to move smartly, not recklessly. Jake interjected, eyes wide. Mom, please. Just call the cops. They can help. No, she snapped. We're not involving the cops in this. The tension thickened, the weight of silence pressing them down. Outside, thunder rumbled, as if the storm itself was responding to their fear. I need to do this. For Tom and for us, she said finally, her voice softening. We can't wait until it's too late. And if it is too late? Davis challenged quietly, the dark notion hanging in the air like a palpable threat. Only silence answered. In that moment, Sarah felt the crushing reality of her choices. Everyone around her would suffer if she failed. But the thought of walking away from the truth terrified her even more. Tomorrow, she whispered, conviction anchoring her weary heart. I'll go alone. Davis's pained expression cut her deeper than any words could. Just promise me you'll be careful. You don't know what you're dealing with. As the rain continued to fall, each droplet a reminder of the impending storm, Sarah prepared for the confrontation she knew would either unveil answers or hurl her further into darkness. But all the while, a knot twisted in her stomach. Because she knew whatever risks there were, the truth lay waiting to be uncovered. And as she settled in for the night, shadows danced in corners of her mind, each memory of Tom sharpening the edges of her resolve. Would the meeting lead them closer to safety, or into a trap even deeper than she feared? The sun dipped low on the horizon, its failing light filtering through the clouds, casting deep shadows in Sarah's living room. She paced, the sound of her footsteps muffled by the persistent rain. The knot in her stomach twisted tighter, a combination of fear and determination driving her forward. What was she stepping into? Would she finally unearth the remnants of Tom's past? With each tick of the clock, time shifted like the tides. Jake's soft voice pierced through her thoughts. Mom, are you sure you want to do this? She turned to him, and though her expression stayed steady, inside she felt her heart race. I don't have a choice, she said, forcing a smile. I need to get answers. You could get hurt. His voice hitched, fear etched on his small face. I'll be okay, buddy, she reassured him, yet doubts danced in her mind. The voice on the phone had chilled her to the bone. Meeting at the old lighthouse dock alone sounded like a scene out of a nightmare. But the need to know why Tom had been involved with someone like Anthony Johnson consumed her as night fell. The house felt eerily quiet. Sarah packed an old backpack, filling it with essentials. A flashlight, her phone, and a small pocket knife. It wasn't much, but it felt like armor against the unknown. Promise me you'll be back? Jake's eyes were wide, brimming with concern. I promise, she replied, though the tightness in her throat made it hard to breathe. She leaned down, planting a soft kiss on his forehead. Be careful. His lips trembled, but she could sense the unyielding strength in her son, inherited from his father. As she stepped outside, the cool air hit her like a slap. The storm had eased, but occasional raindrops clung to her skin. The streets were empty, shadows dancing in the dim light of street lamps. Each step toward the dock felt heavier. It was an uneasy journey into uncertainty. The lighthouse loomed in the distance, its structure dark and threatening against the night sky. A deep breath steadied her. She pushed away the fear that threatened to cloud her resolve. When she reached the dock, the wooden planks creaked beneath her, a sound that echoed against the biting wind. Goosebumps raced along her arms as she stepped further into the darkness. The air was thick with expectation, the tension almost palpable. You're early, a voice called from the shadows, making her jump. Where are you? She shouted, a tremor in her voice. I'm right here. From the darkness stepped a figure, revealing a man with an unsettling smirk. The same voice from the phone. Anthony, she whispered, heart pounding like war drums in her chest. Your husband was a brave man, Sarah. But bravery has a price. He stepped closer, and the moonlight caught the glint in his eyes, a dangerous sparkle that whispered of chaos. Tell me what you know about Tom, she demanded, taking a step back, readying herself for whatever lay ahead. Anthony chuckled, the sound curling around her like smoke. He was digging into things he shouldn't have. I'm surprised you're still asking. Didn't you receive my warning? Enough games, she snapped, trying to gather her courage. Just give me the truth. He leaned forward, eyes narrowing. The truth? Okay, let us talk about the truth. As he spoke, each word dripped with suspicion, but before he could divulge anything substantial, the sudden sound of footsteps echoed behind them. Sarah turned sharply. A group of figures emerged from the darkness, shrouded in hooded jackets. The air was thick with malevolence. Uncertainty coiled tighter around her throat. "Looks like we have company," Anthony said. Voice low and crooning, panic surged through her. This wasn't just a simple meeting anymore, this was a setup. "What do you want?" she stammered, heart racing as she fumbled backwards, desperately searching for an escape. "Keep calm, Sarah," Anthony called, but the menace in the approaching shadows left her frozen. Before she could react, darkness swallowed her, and she felt herself being led away. A sudden scream erupted from the depths of her mind, but all she could focus on was the blaring question: had she just walked into a trap she couldn't escape? And as everything around her spun out of control, she realized the truth was about to come crashing down. But at what cost? The world around Sarah blurred as she was tugged into the pitch-black void. Panic clawed at her throat, her heart hammering like a trapped animal. Each shuffling footstep behind her grew louder, thumping in rhythm with her racing pulse. Adrenaline surged through her veins as she wrestled against the grip that held her tight. "Let go of me," she shouted, voice shaking, brimming with defiance. But the shadows only tightened their hold. "Don't struggle," a voice hissed near her ear. It was rough, indistinct, failing to murmur any comfort. Another figure moved closer, their face obscured by the hood. "Do you even know what you're getting into?" Anthony's words dripped with an unsettling calm. He seemed to relish the chaos, standing only a few feet behind her, watching with a predatory gleam in his eyes. "Just tell me what you want," she demanded, summoning strength she didn't know she possessed. "If you're going to hurt me, do it. I'm not backing down." That earned a chuckle from the shadows, but Anthony cut him off. "You're feisty. I like that." He stepped forward, breaking the barrier of dim light. "But see, this isn't just about you anymore. This goes deeper than Tom's secrets. It involves things you couldn't possibly imagine." With a sudden yank, they pulled her into the full moonlight, illuminating their hoods. The faces were unfamiliar, yet their demeanor screamed danger. Her instincts shouted at her to run, to fight, but she stood rooted in place, caught in the web of fear and uncertainty. Suddenly, a glint of metal caught her eye. A knife? No. A gun tucked away at the waistband of one figure. The sight sent shivers down her spine. "What do you want with me?" she asked again, this time quieter, knowing the stakes were rising higher. "Your husband was unearthing truths meant to stay buried." Anthony's grin widened. "And you hold the key to unlocking those doors. But I need to know how much you know. Why should I tell you anything?" Her breath came rapid, her chest tight. "I have nothing to offer you." "That's where you're wrong," he said, moving closer, making it harder to breathe. "You're more valuable than you think. Names, connections. People will kill for what you might know." As fear rippled through her, she clenched her jaw, the weight of the situation pressing down hard. "You'll never get it from me." His eyes sparkled with menace. "You're stubborn. Just like Tom." He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. He thought he could right the wrongs, but some sins can't be undone. "Do you really think you're any different?" A sudden sound echoed, a crack in the distance. Sarah's instinct took over. Taking a deep breath, she pivoted, narrowing her gaze at the nearest figure. She swung out her foot, aiming for their knee with all the force she could muster. "Get away from her," a voice thundered. The distraction splintered the grip holding her tight. In the chaos, Sarah seized the moment, pushing free into a dim ray of moonlight. The figures, shocked by the sudden turn, stumbled back, confusion splattering across their faces as she dashed toward the edge of the dock. Her heart leapt with the thrill of hope. But she could feel Anthony's eyes boring into her back, angry, wild. "You can't escape what you don't understand," he yelled, voice slicing through the night. "You're already in this, Sarah. We'll come for you." Racing toward the road, Sarah glanced behind her, adrenaline rushing. The figure who'd been silent until now stepped forward, pointing a gun in her direction. Would the warning shot come? Would they chase her dawn into darkness? Each step felt heavy. She had stirred something dangerous, unwittingly becoming part of a game she had barely started to understand. But as she reached the edge of the dock, she spotted a glimmer of hope on the horizon. The boat. Should she jump aboard? Or was it too late for her to outrun the truth? The questions filled her mind, tangible as the night air surrounding her. As footsteps surged behind her, a chilling thought emerged: what else was lurking in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered? Sarah's lungs burned as she sprinted toward the dock. The air was thick with dread, but the distant rumble of the boat's engine pierced the night like a siren call. She could taste the freedom on her tongue, but fear gripped her heart like an iron vice. Would she make it? With every heartbeat, she felt Anthony's fury behind her. Shadows danced in the corners of her vision, pulses of danger that surged and receded like the waves lapping against the wooden beams. She whipped her head back just in time to see the figure with the gun step onto the dock, his posture rigid, ready. "Stop!" he shouted, voice booming across the water. "You can't run from this." The words rippled through her, anchoring her to her tracks for a split second. Panic surged again, battling with a flicker of hope. "Get on the boat," came the voice again, but not from Anthony's crew. It was a stranger, a man leaning against the cabin's railing, his face half hidden in shadows. Her heart raced. Was this a trap? She couldn't spend time weighing options. The fear of her past swirled with the fear of the unknown. In this fleeting moment, she seized an instinctual decision. Caution be damned. She leaped onto the boat. The engine roared to life, its deep rumble drowning out the beach's commotion. She stumbled into the cabin, heart in her throat. The man stepped back, greeting her with a steady gaze. His demeanor was almost calm amidst the chaos. "Who are you?" she panted, glancing back at the dock where Anthony's crew was gathering. "Just someone who can get you out of here," he replied, firing the engines into motion. The boat surged forward, cutting through the water, freedom beckoning them both. But as they swayed on the dark waves, the man's expression transformed, his brow furrowed, tension rising in the air. "You don't know how much trouble you're in, do you?" "I don't care," she spat, feeling anger swell like a knot in her throat. "I just need to be safe." He shook his head. "No, you don't understand. This isn't just about you anymore. You have no idea how far-reaching your husband's investigation was." "What investigation?" Fury flared inside her, hot and relentless. His gaze turned serious. "Tom was onto something big, something dangerous. The more you know, the more they want to silence you." "What do you mean?" she pressed, leaning closer, desperate for clarity. "You're standing in the eye of a storm, and if you want to survive, you need to listen. They'll come after you, after both of us," he warned, tension rippling through his voice. "They won't let you go without a fight." A cold wave of understanding crashed over her. She had stepped into a world she hadn't asked for, chained to secrets she didn't know existed. "What do we do now?" "We need to get to the next dock and find a place to hide. I know of a friend who can help." Before she could respond, the unexpected silence was shattered by the gunshot that rang out across the water. Her heart dropped as she instinctively ducked. She peeked over her shoulder, dread clawing at her the edge of the dock. Anthony and his men had regrouped, their expressions twisted with rage and determination. "You think you can escape us?" Anthony shouted, brandishing a gun, a twisted grin on his face. "You're just making it worse." Sarah's breath quickened. The chase was far from over. Would they ever truly be free? As the second bullet pierced the night, she felt the weight of their anger bearing down. But one thought anchored her as she crouched low. She needed the truth, whatever it may hold. With each passing moment, she was drawn deeper into the chaos, and the next days might uncover buried truths or thrust her into even greater danger. As the shoreline faded behind them, uncertainty draped over her like a shroud, and she knew they were not safe yet. What secrets were hidden in the depths of her husband's investigation? And when would the storm catch up to them? The boat surged forward, slicing through the ink-dark waters while the adrenaline coursed through Sarah's veins. The wind whipped across her face, mixing with the salty spray, but nothing could wash away the dread pooling in her stomach. She could hear the rattle of gunfire behind them. The fear, raw and visceral, sank deeper. "Keep your head down," the man said with a gruff urgency as he took quick glances back toward the dock. "We're not out of the woods yet." The cabin was cramped, filled with the smell of oil and the faint scent of something metallic. Sarah took a shaky breath, trying to ground herself. "Why are they after me?" She needed answers. "What did Tom find?" The man hesitated, his fingers tightening around the wheel. Tom was digging into some serious stuff, money laundering, arms deals, you name it. He thought he was just trying to expose corruption, but he stumbled onto something far worse. Worse? How can it be any worse? Her voice was barely above a whisper, dread tightening her throat as the engine roared. He turned slightly, revealing a few lines of worry etched into his face. He found connections. People who won't hesitate to kill to keep their secrets buried. You must have something they want, and they're willing to do anything to silence you. They hit a wave and Sarah stumbled but caught herself on the edge of a seat. Her mind raced, drawing connections that left guillotines of doubt hanging over her heart. But I don't know anything. He never involved me in his work. Exactly. That's why you're in more danger. You become a liability the moment you know. I'm telling you they'll come for you. What about you? She shot back, desperation creeping into her voice. Why help me if it puts your life in danger too? He met her gaze, a flicker of something in his eyes, fear maybe? Because I owe it to Tom. He was a good man. He pulled me out of the fire once. Now I'm returning the favor. Another gunshot echoed in the air, sharper this time, sending a rush of panic through her veins. Are they coming for us? They're trying to track us down, he said, strain tightening his voice. But I know a way to go under the radar. We're heading to a safe haven. My friend has connections. As vivid green lights shone along the distant shoreline, she felt a flicker of hope. But along with it came the sting of betrayal. The world she thought she knew crumbled like dust in the wind. Who was her husband really, and what had he gotten her into? The boat bounced over the waves, her heart pounding louder as they neared the next dock. Suddenly, the man slammed on the brakes. The boat came skidding to a halt. Startled, Sarah shot him a look. What's happening? Something's wrong, he muttered, eyes scanning the surroundings. Before she could question him further, the sound of heavy footsteps rippled on the dock. Her breath hitched as a dark silhouette emerged from the shadows. It was another man, broad-shouldered, menacing, with a gun slung casually at his side. I've been expecting you, he shouted, a mocking smirk twisting his lips. And I have some interesting questions for Mrs. Tom. Panic surged through Sarah, but before she could react, the stranger raised his hand. But first let us have a chat, shall we? Glimmers of terror flared to life in her gut. Could anyone truly be trusted anymore? Just how deep did this rabbit hole go? And would she make it out alive to uncover the truth? Dread pooled thick and heavy as the new man advanced, threatening to crush whatever hope she had left. What was he after? Would the secrets unravel her? Or was there still a chance to fight back? The silence hung like a thick fog, saturating the air with tension. Sarah's heart raced as the man stepped closer, his eyes glinting with a hunger that edged toward madness. Listen, I'm not, she started, her voice trembling. Save it, he interrupted, his drawl dripping with contempt. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time. But lucky for you, I'm in a good mood. He motioned back to the dock with a nod. You see, Tom wasn't exactly discreet. And now, well, you're the golden ticket to all his dark little secrets. Her pulse quickened. I don't know anything. Please, you have to believe me. The stranger chuckled, a low, gritty sound. Oh, I think you do know more than you pretend. It's just a matter of persuading you to share it all. He leaned in, eyes narrowing, as if he could peel back her layers to see her very soul. Where's the money, Sarah? Where's the 50 million? 50 million? The word struck her like a slap. Her head reeled. What money? The man's face twisted in irritation, his patience wearing thin. The money Tom found. That's how this works. I get the information, you get to live. Pretty simple, huh? Before she could formulate a response, the man beside her shifted, ready to act. Let us not rush things, he said, stepping forward, his voice a smooth contrast to the chaos. You're scaring her. Don't intervene unless you want this to get messy, the stranger warned, his tone icy. Sarah's hands trembled at her sides, every instinct screaming to run, but where? The water was a dark abyss, the dock behind them crumbling under pressure. I promise I'll cooperate. Just let me think, she stammered, frantically searching for a way out. But they were closing in, both men like wolves circling their prey. Think all you want, the stranger said. A sinister grin plastered across his face. But either you talk or the same people who took Tom will come for you next. I can guarantee it. Fuck you. Sarah shouted, her anger flaring desperately. A way to reclaim her voice. The man's grin faltered slightly, surprise flitting across his features before he regained composure. Fighting back already? I admire that. But we won't waste time. Either give us the truth or the clock starts ticking. As they advanced, the world around Sarah began to shrink. The shadows lengthened and the footfalls of her own dread echoed like a countdown in her mind. The man at the helm, her supposed savior, stood frozen, conflicted. Was he siding with the enemy? Let us make this easier for both of us, the stranger said, pulling out a slim, glinting knife, the blade catching the green lights from the shore. You can tell me what I want to know, or we can make this personal. Your choice. Her throat tightened as the air turned electric. Each breath felt like a weight pressing down, and that knife? It glimmered like her slipping trust, the last shred slipping further from her grasp. Panic surged anew, and with it, a fierce determination. I'll never tell you anything. A brief silence followed, charged with tension, before the gunshot rang out, shattering the moment and echoing ominously over the waves. Everything spilled into chaos. The man close to Sarah dove for cover, but it was too late. The stranger hadn't moved an inch, standing defiantly as the shot pierced the air. The weight of that moment lingered thick and deadly, as a new figure emerged from the shadows where the shot had come from. Let her go, the new arrival said, voice cold and commanding. The black hoodie he wore shadowed his features, revealing nothing. But what was most unsettling was the gun held steady in his hands. Sarah's heart raced. Who was this new player? With the situation spiraling, did she dare hope for rescue, or was it just another deception in this game of life and death? As the tension mounted, a gut-wrenching question loomed. Would this figure take her safely out of the storm or plunge her deeper into an inevitable nightmare? The rain had finally stopped, but the night felt like it carried on the weight of 1,000 storms. The serene backdrop of stars glittering over the water stood in stark contrast to the chaotic whirlwind inside Sarah's mind. Tremors ran through her from pure adrenaline. She had never been in such terrifying circumstances. The mystery surrounding Tom felt all-consuming, pulling her towards a destiny she had never asked for. Let her go, the new figure commanded, voice like ice. Tension crackled in the air like a live wire. The stranger, who had moments ago been a threat, looked panicked. You don't know what you're doing. With swift movement, the new figure stepped forward, gun aimed with precision. Then tell me what she knows. Turn and walk away. Sarah's heart raced, torn between fear and a flicker of hope. Guilt pulsed through her. Tom's choices had put her here, the secrets, the money that she now carried like a burden. Just walk away or I swear I will pull the trigger, said the newcomer, voice unyielding and deadly serious. The shifting dynamics had caught the attention of Anthony's crew, their surprise evident. It was a standoff waiting to ignite. Suddenly something shifted in the air. Sarah took a cautious step back. I don't know anything. I swear, she exclaimed, desperation spilling from her lips like a torrent. The figure with the gun glanced at her, eyebrows furrowing, caught off guard. You need to understand. They will come after you. You are part of this now, and if you don't speak enough, the stranger shouted, flicking his wrist to draw focus once more. His posture was defensive, but fear danced in his eyes. Suddenly the tension snapped. A scuffle broke out as Anthony's men lunged forward. The air erupted in chaos. Shouts of anger mixed with the crash of bodies colliding. Sarah's heart raced. She was trapped with lines barely drawn between friend and foe. Run! The newcomer shouted. Sarah didn't hesitate. She seized the moment and bolted toward the edge of the dock, her legs fueled by sheer instinct. Behind her, gunfire erupted, and she glimpsed the chaos of fists and bodies grappling for dominance. Her heart thundered in her chest as she sprinted, the sound of chaos swirling behind her like a maelstrom. Over here, shouted her mysterious savior, his voice cutting through the chaos, sharp as a knife. She saw an open tunnel between crates stacked at the dock. It was a small entry, perfect for escaping detection. Quicker than she thought possible, she darted inside. The cramped space felt claustrophobic, the darkness enveloping her but hopeful nevertheless. She pressed her back against the cold wooden wall, her breath ragged. The scuffle and shouts faded, the sound swallowed by the echoing darkness. She risked a glance out of the cramped nook, her heart still hammering with worry not just for her but for the man who had just put himself in harm's way for a stranger. Sarah! Get out of sight! he hissed, appearing at the entrance, blood streaming from a wounded forehead. She scrambled back, fear settling like a rock in her stomach. "Did you get hurt?" she whispered, panic lacing her voice. "It's nothing that one heel. We need to move." "They'll be lingering," he insisted, still focused. "Do you know where your son is?" "Jake. He's with my neighbor, but I can't just leave him." "Listen. You need to prioritize your safety, or you'll lose both of you," he urged, the urgency palpable. In that moment, reality crashed down like thunder. It wasn't fair what Tom had dragged her into. She was a mother and she needed answers. But the price of those answers could strip away her very essence. "Sarah." The voice of Anthony rang out, drawing closer. "Go. Now," the man urged. "No." She pushed back, courage igniting inside her. "I need to know what's behind all of this. What secrets my husband hid wouldn't vanish just because I run." There was a flicker of surprise in his eyes. "You have no clue what lies ahead. Those people are ruthless. It's not fleeing if I search, is it? I will face them, and I won't go down easily." With that she turned, steeling her resolve. She knew what was right. Whatever secrets lay buried about Tom could also unveil her freedom. She needed to confront Anthony. Stepping out from her refuge, she paused, feeling weighed down yet unshackled. The boat still swung languidly. "Let us finish this," she said quietly, surprising even herself with the calmness that belied her nerve. The man behind her hesitated. He studied her face. "Just know they'll never stop coming for you." "I'll be ready," she shot back, newfound fire lighting her spirit. Taking a deep breath, she straightened her spine. It was time to learn the truth behind her husband's secrets. She stepped onto the dock, each heartbeat echoing determination. "Hey!" called Anthony. His crew stood at the end, weapons ready but eyes wide in disbelief as she approached, the breeze pulling at her hair, the moon casting a fierce light over her path. "I'm not afraid of you," she shouted, the strength of her words carrying through the air. In that heartbeat, she felt the shift. She wasn't just Tom's widow. She was something far more powerful. Before she could lose her nerve, she rushed forward to face what lay ahead. The journey was uncertain. A tempest awaited, but she would uncover the truth of Tom's legacy. With fierce resolve, Sarah was ready to confront the shadows and embrace her fate. The storm wasn't done yet. It was just beginning to unfurl. And that's when she truly understood the road to freedom started with facing the demons of the past. You have to embark on your journey now. Subscribe immediately to unfold the upcoming secrets and twists in future exclusive stories. Smash that like button now. Show your love and keep the algorithm alive. Flood the comments with your theories about Sarah's future and her dangerous path. Don't wait even one more second. Share this gripping tale with at least 5 friends you want them to miss what's coming next.